The black void of space stretched endless in all directions. Among the distant stars, something moved. It was not natural. It was not welcome. Fleet Commander Thexnal stood on the bridge of his massive warship. His 6 eyes scanned the data screens that surrounded him. Numbers and charts filled the displays. All of them showed the same thing. Victory was certain. The Third Conquest Fleet of the Velkari Empire moved through space like a deadly storm. 2,000 warships flew in perfect formation. Each ship was the size of a small city. Their hulls gleamed with silver metal that could stop any weapon. Their engines burned with the power of captured stars. Thexnal touched one of the screens with his long, clawed finger. The image changed to show a small blue planet. Earth, the third world from a yellow star, home to the primitive beings they had come to conquer. "Show me the intelligence report again," he commanded. His aide, a younger Velkari named Grixtok, activated the hologram. Images filled the air above them. Crude metal rockets struggling to escape their planet's gravity. Simple. Satellites that could barely send messages. Weapons that threw small pieces of metal at each other. "These humans are even more backward than the last 3 species we conquered," Grixtok said. "Their technology is 50 cycles behind ours. Maybe more." Thexnal nodded. The report was 50 years old, but that did not matter. How much could such a primitive race advance in 50 years? They probably still used chemical rockets. They probably still fought wars with metal bullets. "How long until we reach their system?" he asked. 6 of their months, Commander. We will arrive just as their planet completes another orbit around their star." Thexnal smiled. It was not a pleasant sight. His teeth were sharp and numerous. "Good. Send the standard surrender message. Tell them to prepare for their new masters." Far away, on the third planet from the yellow star, Dr. Hana Kim stared at her computer screen. The numbers made no sense. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked again. Hana worked at the Global Defense Initiative. Her job was to watch space for anything unusual. Asteroids that might hit Earth. Solar storms that could damage satellites. Strange signals from distant stars. Today, her instruments showed something very strange. "Jay," she called to her colleague, "come look at this." Jay Park wheeled his chair over to her desk. He was the smartest person Hana knew. If anyone could explain these readings, it would be him. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Gravity waves, but not from any star or black hole we know about. They're coming from the edge of our solar system, and they're moving." Jay frowned. He pulled up more data on his tablet. "Moving how?" "Like they're attached to something big, something really big, and there are lots of them." "Equipment malfunction?" Jay suggested. Hana shook her head. "I checked 3 times. All the instruments show the same thing." Colonel Wu Jin walked into the room. He was their military contact, a serious man who always wore his uniform perfectly. "What's the problem?" he asked. "We're getting strange readings from deep space," Hana explained. "Gravity anomalies that don't match any known phenomena." Wu Jin looked at the data. He did not understand the science, but he understood danger. "Could it be natural?" "Maybe, Jay said. But the pattern is too regular, too organized. Like a formation? Wu Jin asked. The room went quiet. They all thought the same thing, but nobody wanted to say it first. High above Earth, on the Lunar Defense Station, Daeho was having a bad day. The maintenance engineer had been working for 12 hours straight. Every time he fixed one sensor, another one started acting strange. "Sora," he called to his commander. "You need to see this." Commander Sora floated over to his workstation. The low gravity on the moon made walking feel like swimming through air. What now? The deep space sensors are picking up something weird. Energy signatures I've never seen before. Sora looked at the readings. She had been a soldier for 20 years. She had seen enemy missiles and hostile aircraft. This looked different, but it felt the same. Dangerous. "Run a full diagnostic," she ordered. "Check every sensor array." I already did. 3 times. The readings are real. Sora felt a cold feeling in her stomach. She activated her communication link to Earth. Back on Earth, Hana's computer beeped. With an incoming message, it was marked urgent. "It's from the lunar station," she told Jay and Wu Jin. "They're seeing the same anomalies we are." Wu Jin stood up straight. "That's confirmation. Whatever this is, it's real." "But what is it?" Jay asked. Hana pulled up a star map on the big screen. Red dots showed where the anomalies were detected. They formed a rough line, moving slowly toward the inner solar system. "If I didn't know better," she said quietly, "I'd say it looks like a fleet." The 3 of them stared at the screen. None of them wanted to believe it, but the evidence was clear. Wu Jin reached for his secure phone. "I need to make some calls." "Wait," Hana said. "We should be sure before we—" "We are sure," Wu Jin interrupted. "The question is what we do about it." In space, the Velkari fleet continued its approach. Commander Thexnal had no idea that his ships had already been detected. The human's instruments were more advanced than his 50-year-old intelligence, reports suggested. "Commander," Grixtok reported, "we are receiving no response to our surrender demands." "They probably don't understand our language yet," Thexnal said. "Or they are too shocked to respond. It matters little. We will make them understand when we arrive." He looked at the tactical display. His fleet was spread across millions of kilometers. Each ship was a masterpiece of Velkari engineering. Their weapons could burn planets. Their shields could stop any attack. Their soldiers were bred for conquest. "Have you selected the demonstration targets?" he asked. "Yes, Commander. We will destroy their largest population centers first. The rest will surrender quickly once they see our power." Thexnal nodded. It was always the same. Show overwhelming force. Break their spirit. Accept their surrender. Add another world to the empire. This would be easy. On Earth, emergency meetings were being held in secret locations around the world. World leaders spoke in hushed voices about the impossible. Military commanders dusted off plans that they hoped would never be needed. Dr. Hana Kim worked through the night, tracking the approaching anomalies. Each hour brought more data. Each calculation made the truth more certain. They were not alone in the universe, and they were about to have visitors. Visitors who probably were not coming to make friends. The storm was coming. The question was whether Earth would be ready when it arrived. 4 months had passed since the first detection. The alien fleet had crossed into the outer solar system, moving past the frozen worlds at the edge of human space. They made no effort to hide their presence now. The first message came on a Tuesday morning. Dr. Minho sat in his small office at the Global Language Center. As Earth's top expert in alien communication, he had spent years preparing for this moment. He had studied every signal humans had ever received from space. He had created computer programs to decode unknown languages. He had written books about how first contact might happen. Nothing had prepared him for this. The message played again on his speakers. Harsh sounds filled the air, clicks and growls and something that might have been words. The computer showed the sound waves as jagged lines on his screen. "Eugene," he called to his partner, "are you getting this?" Eugene looked up from her bank of computers. She was the smartest artificial intelligence programmer on Earth. Her machines could translate any human language in seconds. Today, they were struggling with something completely new. "The AI is picking up patterns," she said. "Repeated sequences, grammatical structures. But the meaning—" She shook her head. Minho played the message again. This time, he heard something different. Fear. "They're afraid," he said suddenly. "What?" Listen to the tone. The way the sounds get higher at the end. That's fear. Or maybe anger. Eugene's computers beeped. New data appeared on her screens. "I'm getting partial translations. Words like surrender and submit and, oh, what? Prepare for death." They looked at each other across the room. The message was not a greeting. It was a threat. Minho picked up his phone and dialed a number he had memorized but hoped never to use. "General Park, this is Dr. Minho. You need to hear this." Far from Earth, deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, something was waking up. Commander Taman floated in the control center of what looked like an ordinary space rock. To any passing ship, it would seem like just another asteroid among millions. It was not. Taman had been waiting here for 15 years. He commanded one of dozens of hidden bases scattered throughout the solar system. Bases that did not officially exist. Bases that had been built in secret, while the world focused on other things. "Sir," his communications officer called. "We're receiving activation. Codes from Earth." Taman felt his pulse quicken. After all these years of training and waiting, it was finally happening. "Confirm the codes." "Confirmed, sir. All stations are to power up to combat readiness." Around the solar system, similar scenes played out. Hidden bases came online. Weapons, systems activated. Soldiers who had waited in the dark for years finally had something to do. The Solar Defense Network was waking up. Na-Yun sat in the command center beneath the mountains of Colorado. Screens surrounded her, showing every part of the solar system. Each green dot represented a human outpost. Each red dot was an alien ship. There were a lot of red dots. "Status report," she called. "All defense stations are online," her assistant replied. "Quantum communication links are active. We have real-time contact with every human settlement from Earth to the outer colonies." Naiu nodded. The aliens had no idea what they were flying into. While they had been traveling through space for months, humanity had been preparing for decades. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. The plan they were about to execute had been worked out years ago by the best military minds on Earth. It was simple in concept. Let the enemy come close. Let them think they were winning. Then show them how wrong they were. On his flagship, Commander Thexanal was growing impatient. His fleet had been broadcasting surrender demands for weeks. The humans had not responded. "Perhaps they are more primitive than we thought," Grixtalk suggested. "Maybe they don't have the technology to understand our messages." "Impossible," Thexanal said. "Even the most backward species can build radio transmitters. They are choosing to ignore us." He studied the tactical display. His fleet was approaching the gas giant that the humans called Jupiter. It was a good place to refuel and reorganize before the final assault on their homeworld. "Commander," his sensor operator called, "I'm detecting some unusual readings from the asteroid belt." "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures. Very faint. Could be natural phenomena." Thexanal waved a dismissive claw. "Space is full of energy. Focus on real threats." The sensor operator hesitated. "Sir, some of these readings appear to be artificial." "Impossible. Our intelligence reports show the humans barely have the ability to travel to their own moon. They could not possibly have bases in the outer system." But even as he said it, Thexanal felt a small doubt. The intelligence reports were 50 years old. What if the humans had advanced more than expected? He pushed the thought away. No species could advance that quickly. It was impossible. Back on Earth, Minho and Eugene worked around the clock to decode more alien messages. Each transmission gave them new clues about their visitors. "I'm starting to understand their language structure," Minho said. He looked exhausted. He had not slept in 3 days. "What are they saying?" Eugene asked. "They're talking about conquest, about adding Earth to something called the Velkari Empire. They think we're going to surrender without a fight. Are they right?" Minho smiled for the first time in days. "They have no idea what they're dealing with." Eugene's computers chimed with new data. "I'm intercepting their internal communications now. They're talking about demonstration attacks. They want to destroy major cities to break our will." "Which cities?" Eugene's face went pale as she read the translation. "All of them. The aliens. Were not planning to conquer Earth. They were planning to destroy it." Deep in space, the hidden defense stations continued their patient watch. Each one was disguised as something harmless. An asteroid, a piece of space junk, a research probe. In reality, they were the most advanced weapons ever built by human hands. Taemin checked his systems one more time. Everything was ready. Weapons, charged. Targeting computers online. Crew prepared. All they needed now was the order to fire. "Sir," his communication officer called. "Message from Earth Command. All stations are to maintain concealment until the enemy enters the trap zone." "Understood," Taemin replied. "How long until they reach Jupiter?" 6 weeks, sir. 6 weeks to wait. 6 weeks to stay hidden while the most dangerous fleet in the galaxy flew toward their trap. Taemin had waited 15 years. He could wait 6 more weeks. The aliens thought they were hunters stalking easy prey. They had no idea they were flying into the most carefully planned ambush in human history. Soon they would learn the truth. Soon they would discover that the primitive humans they had come to conquer were not primitive at all. Soon the hunters would become the hunted. But first, they had to reach Jupiter. The trap was set. The prey was coming. All humanity had to do now was wait. And when the time came, they would show the galaxy what happened to anyone who threatened Earth. The massive alien fleet approached Jupiter like a storm made of metal and death. 2,000 warships moved in perfect formation, their engines burning bright against the darkness of space. They had traveled across the galaxy to reach this moment. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. Commander Thexanal stood on his bridge, watching the gas giant grow larger on his screens. Jupiter was beautiful in its own way. Bands of orange and red clouds swirled around the massive planet. Its many moons danced in their ancient orbits. "Perfect," he said to his aide. "We'll use the gravity well to accelerate toward their homeworld. The humans won't even see us coming." Grixtok nodded. "The final assault will be glorious, Commander. Their primitive weapons cannot touch our shields." Neither of them noticed. The small energy readings scattered throughout the Jupiter system. Readings that their sensors dismissed as natural radiation. Readings that were actually the signatures of the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built, hidden among the asteroids that shared Jupiter's orbit. Captain Sungmin waited in his command center. To any observer, his base looked like nothing more than a large space rock, dark, cold, lifeless. It was none of those things. The Mjolnir defense platform was one of humanity's greatest achievements. Built in secret over 20 years, it was equipped with weapons that could destroy planets. Its armor could withstand direct hits from nuclear weapons. Its stealth systems made it invisible to any known sensor technology. And it was not alone. "Captain," his tactical officer whispered, "the enemy fleet is entering the Jupiter system." Sungmin nodded. He had been waiting for this moment for most of his adult life. "Signal all stations. Begin final preparations." Throughout the Jupiter system, dozens of hidden platforms received the message. What the aliens thought was empty space was actually filled with human weapons. Weapons that had been placed here decades ago. Weapons that were about to change the course of history. On the outer edge of the system, near Saturn, Commander Boram watched the tactical displays in her own hidden base. The Saturn defense grid was humanity's backup plan. If anything survived the Jupiter ambush, it would face an even deadlier reception here. "Ma'am," her communications officer called, "Earth Command is giving us final target assignments." Boram studied the list. Each alien ship had been assigned to specific human weapons. Nothing was left to chance. Every angle of attack had been calculated. "Every escape route had been blocked. Understood," she replied. "Prepare all weapon systems." The aliens continued their approach, completely unaware of the danger. Their sensors showed empty space. Their computers detected no threats. Their intelligence. Reports assured them that humanity lacked the technology for space-based weapons. They were wrong about everything. Commander Thexanol examined the tactical display. His fleet was spread across millions of kilometers, but they maintained perfect formation. Each ship knew its role in the coming battle. "Begin deceleration," he ordered. "We'll establish orbital positions around the gas giant before proceeding to the inner system." His ships responded immediately. Thousands of engines fired in sequence, slowing the massive fleet. They were completely exposed now, vulnerable to attack from any direction. But who could attack them? The humans barely had the technology to reach their own moon. Deep in the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars, Captain Hyunwoo prepared his stealth fleet for launch. His ships were completely invisible to alien sensors. They used technology so advanced that it seemed like magic. They could appear and disappear at will. They could strike without warning and vanish before the enemy could respond. "All ships, report ready, Captain," his first officer said. "Excellent," Hyunwoo replied. "Remember the plan. Hit fast, hit hard, then get out. We want them confused and scared before the main assault begins." His ships began to move. Silent as ghosts, they glided through space toward the alien fleet. The enemy would never see them coming. On Earth, the war room deep beneath the Pentagon buzzed with activity. General Park stood before a massive display showing the positions of every ship in the solar system. Red dots for aliens, blue dots for humans. There were a lot more blue dots than the aliens suspected. "All stations report." "Ready, sir," his aide announced. "Very good," General Park replied. "Signal Jupiter Command. They may begin when ready." The message raced across space at the speed of light. In minutes, it would reach the hidden platforms around Jupiter. And then the aliens would learn what happened to anyone who threatened Earth. Captain Sung Min received the authorization code and smiled grimly. "All stations, this is Mjolnir Command. You are authorized to engage the enemy. I repeat, you are authorized to engage." Around the Jupiter system, weapons that had waited in darkness for decades suddenly came to life. Energy, cannons that could melt through starship armor, missile systems loaded with warheads that bent space and time, gravity weapons that could crush entire fleets. The aliens never knew what hit them. The first attack came from directly ahead of the alien fleet. What looked like empty space suddenly erupted with weapons fire. Beams of pure energy lanced out from hidden platforms, striking alien ships before they could react. "Shields up!" Commander Thexanol shouted. "All ships, evasive maneuvers!" But there was nowhere to run. The attacks came from every direction at once, above, below, and from all sides. The aliens found themselves trapped in a sphere of deadly fire. "Where are they shooting from?" Grixtok demanded. "I don't see any enemy ships." The tactical display was chaos. Alien vessels exploded one after another. Their mighty shields, designed to stop primitive human weapons, proved useless against technology they could not understand. Captain Hyun-woo's stealth ships struck next. They appeared among the alien fleet like wolves among sheep. Their weapons ignored distance and armor. They fired once and vanished, leaving only burning wreckage behind. "Contact!" an alien sensor operator screamed. "Enemy ships decloaking all around us." But by the time the words left his mouth, the stealth ships were gone again. Only the damage they left behind proved they had ever been there. Commander Boram watched the battle from her position near Saturn. The plan was working perfectly. The Sci-Fi aliens were trapped and confused. Their formation was breaking apart. Ships collided with each other as they tried to escape the killing field. "Begin long-range bombardment," she ordered. From across the solar system, humanity's heaviest weapons opened fire. Projectiles accelerated to impossible speeds, energy beams that could cut through moons, exotic weapons that turned physics itself into a tool of war. The alien fleet died by the hundreds. Commander Thexanol could not believe what he was seeing. Half his fleet was already destroyed. The other half was scattered and confused, and he still could not see most of the human weapons. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our intelligence report said they were primitive." "Sir," his communications officer called. "I'm receiving a transmission from the humans." "Put it through." A human voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect Velkari language. "Velkari Fleet, this is Captain Sung Min of the Human Defense Forces. You have 10 minutes to surrender your remaining ships. If you refuse, we will destroy you all." Thexanol was too shocked to respond. How did they know his language? How had they hidden weapons throughout the entire solar system? "Sir?" Grixtok asked. "Your orders?" Thexanol looked at the tactical display. 3/4 of his mighty fleet was gone. The survivors were outnumbered and outgunned by an enemy they could not even see properly. For the first time in his life, the mighty Velkari, Commander felt afraid. "Send a message to the Empire," he whispered. Tell them we were wrong about these humans." But even as he spoke, he knew it was too late. The trap had been sprung. The hunters had become the hunted, and Earth was still more than 1 billion kilometers away. The battle in the Jupiter system had lasted only 3 hours. When it ended, 1,500 alien ships had been destroyed. The survivors fled in panic, their perfect formation shattered, their confidence broken. But humanity was just getting started. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, massive doors began to open. For 50 years, the Red Planet had been humanity's greatest secret. While the world watched small rovers explore the surface, an entire civilization had been growing underground. Yunji stood in the command center of the Mars shipyards, watching as mountains moved aside to reveal the truth. Beneath the rust-colored surface lay the largest manufacturing complex in human history. Factories that could build starships in hours, assembly lines that never stopped, weapons production that had been running for decades. "All construction bays are online," her assistant reported. "We can begin launching new ships immediately." Yunji smiled. The aliens thought they were fighting a handful of hidden platforms. They had no idea that humanity could replace their losses faster than the enemy could destroy them. "Begin phase 2, she ordered. "Launch everything." Across Mars, the ground itself came alive. What looked like rocky hills split open to reveal massive launching tubes. Ship after ship rose from the planet's surface, each one equipped with weapons that defied known physics. In his laboratory on one of Jupiter's moons, Dr. Dong-hyun put the finishing touches on his latest creation. The quantum physicist had spent his entire career working on experimental weapons. Today, his theories would become reality. "Are you sure this will work?" his assistant asked nervously. Dong-hyun smiled. "Only one way to find out." He pressed a button, and across space, invisible minds began to activate. The aliens would discover them soon enough. When they did, they would wish they had never heard of Earth. Commander Thexnal tried to regroup his surviving ships. The humans had stopped shooting, but he knew it was only temporary. They were planning something worse. "Damage report," he demanded. 75% of the fleet is destroyed or disabled," Grixtok replied. His voice shook with shock. "The humans have weapons we've never seen before." "That's impossible. Our scouts studied this system. There were no advanced civilizations here." "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the fourth planet, Mars." The tactical display updated, showing dozens of new contacts rising from the Martian surface. Ships appeared where there should have been empty desert. Weapons platforms emerged from what had seemed like natural formations. "How many?" Thexnal asked. "Unknown, sir. They're still launching." The commander watched in horror as the red planet revealed its secrets. This was not a primitive world defending itself. This was an advanced military civilization that had been preparing for war. "Sir," another officer called. "New contacts throughout the asteroid belt and near Saturn and—" He paused, checking his instruments. "Everywhere, sir. They're everywhere." Far from the battle, on a small asteroid near the orbit of Neptune, Yuna activated her network of kinetic weapons. For 30 years, humanity had been converting space rocks into guided missiles. Each asteroid was equipped with engines that could accelerate it to incredible speeds. When they hit, they carried the power of nuclear weapons. "Target acquired," her targeting computer announced. "Alien fleet bearing 27 Mark IV. "Fire," Yuna commanded. Across the outer solar system, hundreds of asteroids began to move. They looked natural at first, just space rocks drifting on new courses. But as they accelerated, their true nature became clear. These were weapons, weapons that could destroy entire fleets. On the moon, Commander Jun Seo prepared humanity's most terrifying weapon of all. The lunar defense array was built into the moon itself. Its power came from the moon's core. Its range covered the entire solar system. "All systems show green," his weapons officer reported. "We have target lock on the surviving enemy ships." Jun Seo hesitated for a moment. What he was about to unleash had never been tested at full power. The theoretical calculations suggested it would work, but theory and reality were often different things. "Fire when ready," he ordered. On the moon's surface, massive doors opened in the ancient craters. Energy began to build, drawn from the very heart of the satellite. The weapon charged slowly, gathering power that could reshape space itself. The key. First sign of what was coming appeared on alien sensors as gravity distortions. Space itself began to bend around the fleeing Velkari ships. Their instruments went crazy as the laws of physics seemed to change. "What's happening?" Commander Thexanol demanded. "Unknown, sir. Gravity readings are off the scale. It's like space is folding in on itself." Then the weapon fired. The gravitational pulse traveled at the speed of light, invisible but unstoppable. When it reached the alien fleet, reality itself became a weapon. Ships were crushed by forces they could not resist. Hulls crumpled like paper. Mighty engines were compressed into tiny balls of metal. 50 alien ships vanished in an instant, not destroyed but simply erased from existence. Dr. Dong Hyun's experimental weapons activated next. The space-time distortion mines had been placed throughout the solar system, invisible and waiting. When the surviving alien ships tried to flee, they found something impossible. Time itself had become a trap. Ships that tried to escape found themselves, caught in temporal loops. They fired their weapons at enemies that were actually themselves from a few minutes in the past. They received their own distress calls from the future. Cause and effect became meaningless. "Sir," an alien navigator reported in confusion, "our chronometer shows we've been in this position for 3 hours, but our logs say we just arrived." Commander Thexnall stared at his instruments in disbelief. Nothing made sense. Time was moving in circles. Space was folding like paper. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by weapons that seemed to break the fundamental laws of reality. "How did they do this?" he whispered. The answer came from an unexpected source. A human transmission, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect Velkari language. "This is Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Force," the voice said calmly. "You asked how we did this. The answer is simple. We had 50 years to prepare." Images filled the alien communication screens. Human construction projects that had been hidden from view. Weapons research that had been conducted in secret. Military preparations that had spanned decades. "While you traveled across the galaxy," the human voice continued, "we turned our entire solar system into a fortress. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid, all of it designed for one purpose: to protect Earth from invaders like you." More images appeared. Human ships emerging from hidden bases. Weapons platforms revealing themselves among the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The true scope of humanity's preparations became clear. "You thought you were hunting primitive prey," Admiral Park said. "You were wrong. You are the prey now." The remaining alien ships tried desperately to escape, but everywhere they turned, they found more human weapons. The entire solar system had become a killing field, carefully designed and perfectly executed. Commander Thexnall realized the terrible truth. His mighty armada had not stumbled into a simple ambush. They had walked into the most sophisticated military trap in galactic history. Every move they made had been anticipated. Every escape route had been blocked. Every weakness had been exploited. The humans had turned war itself into a science, and Earth was still 1 billion kilometers away. Untouched and perfectly safe, the hunters had indeed become the hunted, and the hunt was almost over. Less than 200 alien ships remained from the mighty fleet of 2,000 that had entered the solar system. They scattered in all directions, desperate to escape the nightmare that humanity had prepared for them. They would find no escape. Admiral Seung-ho stood in the command center of the inter-system fleet, watching the tactical display with cold satisfaction. Every fleeing alien ship was marked with a red dot. Every possible escape route was blocked by blue dots representing human forces. "Status report," he commanded. "All pursuit squadrons are in position," his tactical officer replied. "The enemy cannot reach the edge of the system without passing through our kill zones." Seung-ho nodded. The plan was working perfectly. The aliens had been allowed to scatter for a reason. It was easier to hunt them when they were separated and afraid. "Begin the pursuit," he ordered. Across the inner solar system, human ships began their deadly chase. These were not the hidden platforms that had ambushed the aliens at Jupiter. These were pure warships, built for speed and destruction. They moved through space like hunting wolves, tracking their prey with perfect precision. Commander Thexnal's flagship fled toward the edge of the system, its engines pushed beyond safe limits. Behind him, most of his fleet was dead or dying. Ahead of him lay only the cold darkness of space. "Sir," his sensor operator called. "Multiple contacts approaching from behind." "How many?" "Unknown. They appear and disappear from our sensors. Some kind of stealth technology." Thexnal felt despair settle into his bones. Even in retreat, the humans were superior. Their technology was beyond anything the Velkari Empire had ever encountered. "Can we outrun them?" "Negative, sir. They're gaining on us." From her position in the asteroid belt, Intelligence Chief Mi-young coordinated the hunt with ruthless efficiency. Her networks had been watching and learning for decades. She knew every alien weapon, every tactic, every weakness. "Pursuit Group 7, adjust course to intercept target Bravo 4, she commanded. "Use approach vector 12. The enemy has blind spots in their rear sensors." "Understood, Control. Moving to intercept." Mi-young smiled coldly. The aliens had thought they were the hunters. They had no idea how thoroughly they had been studied. Every ship type had been analyzed. Every tactical doctrine had been cataloged. Every possible response had been planned for. The Velkari were fighting an enemy that knew them better than they knew themselves. Captain Kang Min piloted his pursuit ship Retribution through the debris field that had once been an alien formation. His target was a Velkari command cruiser trying to hide among the wreckage of its own fleet. "Target acquired," his gunner reported. "Range, 2,000 kilometers. "Too easy," Kang Min muttered. "These are supposed to be the galaxy's greatest warriors?" He had expected more from an interstellar empire. The aliens' technology was advanced, but their tactics were predictable. They fought like they expected to win through superior numbers and firepower alone. They had never faced an enemy that was smarter than they were. "Fire!" Kang Min ordered. The human weapon ignored the aliens' shields completely. It passed through their defenses like they weren't there, striking the hull with devastating effect. The enemy ship broke apart in a silent explosion of metal and flame. "Target destroyed," the gunner reported. "Moving to next contact." Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out dozens of times. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck with impossible weapons, and vanished before the aliens could respond. The pursuit was methodical and merciless. From her sensor, stationed in the asteroid belt, Jin tracked every surviving alien vessel. Her instruments could detect ships hiding behind planets, lurking in asteroid fields, or trying to escape through the outer system. "Control, this is Sensor Station Alpha," she reported. "I have 15 contacts trying to reach escape velocity near Neptune." "Confirmed, Alpha. Pursuit Group 12 is moving to intercept." Jin watched as human ships closed in on the fleeing aliens. There would be no escape. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this day. Every contingency had been planned. Every hiding place had been mapped. The aliens were trapped in a cage the size of the solar system. Commander Thexanol's ship shuddered as another human weapon struck its hull. His shields were failing. His engines were overheating. His crew was dying around him. "Sir," Grixtok called weakly. "Incoming transmission from the humans." "Put it through." A human voice filled the bridge, speaking flawless Velkari. "Velkari, command ship. This is Captain Park of the pursuit vessel Justice. Prepare to be boarded." "We will never surrender," Thexanol snarled. "That is your choice," the human replied calmly. "But your ship is disabled. Your weapons are offline. Your escape pods have been targeted. You can surrender and live, or fight and die. Choose quickly." Thexanol looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead. The other half was wounded or unconscious. His mighty flagship was nothing more than a drifting wreck. How had it come to this? How had the greatest fleet in Velkari history been destroyed by a species that was supposed to be primitive? "Sir," Grixtok whispered. "Perhaps we should—" "No," Thexanol interrupted. "I am a Velkari commander. I do not surrender to inferior species." But even as he spoke the words, he knew they were a lie. The humans were not inferior. They were something far more dangerous than the Velkari had ever imagined. They were prepared. In the depths of space, the last few alien ships made their final desperate attempts at escape. Some tried to hide in the shadows of planets. Others attempted to break through human lines with suicide runs. A few even tried to surrender. None of it mattered. The humans had planned for everything. Hidden weapons covered every hiding place. Faster ships caught every runner. Even the surrender attempts were met with polite refusal. "We appreciate your offer of surrender," Admiral Sung Ho transmitted to a group of alien ships near Mars. "Unfortunately, we cannot accept. You came here to destroy our world and kill our people. The penalty for that crime is death." The alien commander protested. "But the laws of war do not apply," Sung Ho interrupted. "You declared total war on our species. We are simply responding in kind." The human ships opened fire. The alien vessels died quickly and cleanly. Their suffering ended in moments rather than hours. It was more mercy than they had planned to show Earth. As the hunt continued, reports flowed into Earth's command centers. Ship after ship was eliminated. Hiding place after hiding place was discovered and destroyed. The great Velkari Armada was being systematically erased from existence. "Current count?" asked General Park. 137 alien ships destroyed in the pursuit phase," his aide replied. 63 remaining. And our losses? 0, sir. Not a single human ship has been damaged. General Park nodded grimly. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had found the most one-sided military defeat in galactic history. It was almost over now. Soon the last alien ship would be hunted down and destroyed. The threat to Earth would be eliminated completely, and throughout it all, Earth itself remained untouched. The blue planet continued its ancient orbit around the yellow sun, its people safe and unaware of the war being fought in their name. The children of Earth played in their gardens while their guardians hunted monsters. In the dark, soon even the monsters would be gone. The last alien ship died on a Thursday afternoon, Earth time. Commander Ji-hoon watched from his command center in Earth orbit as the final red dot disappeared from the tactical display. The Velkari Vengeance, a heavy cruiser that had managed to survive longer than most, finally succumbed to human weapons near the orbit of Uranus. That's all of them, his tactical officer reported. 0 alien contacts remaining in the system. Ji-hoon nodded and picked up his communication device. Earth Command, this is orbital defense. Threat eliminated. Earth secure. Casualties, 0. It was the shortest after-action report in military history. It was also the most complete victory humanity had ever achieved. Across the solar system, human forces began the cleanup operation. The debris from 2,000 alien warships was scattered across millions of kilometers of space. Environmental teams worked to ensure that nothing would contaminate the delicate balance of the solar system's ecology. Dr. Su Jin floated in her research station near Mars, documenting the battle for the global archives. As humanity's chief military historian, it was her job to record what had happened here. Future generations would need to understand this moment. Personal log, day 1 post-contact, she spoke into her recorder. The Velkari invasion fleet has been completely destroyed. Analysis of the battle shows several key factors in humanity's victory. She paused, looking out at the red planet below. Even now, the hidden shipyards were returning to their concealment. Mars looked like nothing more than a dead world again. First, preparation. Humanity spent 50 years building defenses throughout the solar system. We turned every planet, every moon, every asteroid into a potential weapon. The aliens walked into a trap that spanned billions of kilometers. Su-jin pulled up tactical recordings of the battle. The data showed the complete superiority of human technology and planning. Second, deception. We allowed the aliens to believe we were primitive. Their intelligence was 50 years out of date, and we did nothing to correct their assumptions. They expected crude rockets and chemical weapons. They found directed energy weapons and gravitational manipulation. She smiled as she watched the recordings. The look of shock on the alien commander's face when the first human weapons revealed themselves was priceless. Third, overwhelming force. The aliens brought 2,000 ships. We had been building for 5 decades. When the shooting started, they were outnumbered 10-1 by weapons they couldn't even detect. Near Neptune, Commander Kyung-ho supervised the cleanup operations. Automated systems collected alien debris while ensuring that no piece was large enough to pose a navigation hazard. The solar system had to be returned to its natural state. How long for complete cleanup? He asked his engineering chief. 6 months for the major debris. Another year for the smaller pieces. Kyung-ho nodded. By the time they were finished, there would be no evidence that the Valkyrie fleet had ever existed. Space would be clean again, safe for human ships and future exploration. What about the alien bodies? Standard protocol, sir. Respectful disposal in the local star. No remains will be left in the system. Even in victory, humanity maintained its principles. The aliens had come to destroy Earth, but humans would not desecrate their remains. On Earth itself, Dr. Ah Young worked in her laboratory, analyzing captured alien technology. As head of the Resource Recovery Department, she was responsible for studying everything the humans had salvaged from the battle. Remarkable, she murmured, examining an alien weapon. Their energy systems are actually quite elegant. Primitive compared to ours, but well designed for their technology level. Her assistant looked over her shoulder. Will any of it be useful? All of it will be useful, Ah Young replied. Not because their technology is better than ours, but because it shows us how other species think. When the next aliens arrive, we'll be even more prepared. She was already planning improvements to Earth's defenses. The Valkyrie had revealed weaknesses in their approach. Other species might be smarter or better prepared. Humanity would be ready. For them, too. In the deep space monitoring stations at the edge of the solar system, Dr. Hana Kim returned to her original job. The woman who had first detected the alien fleet now watched for the next threat that might approach Earth. Any contacts? Her replacement asked. Nothing yet, Hana replied. But they'll come eventually. The galaxy is a big place, and humanity won't stay hidden forever. She looked at her instruments with satisfaction. The early warning network that had detected the Valkyrie was already being expanded. New sensors were being placed even farther, from Earth. The next alien fleet would be spotted years before it arrived, not months. When they do come, we'll be ready, she added. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, the hidden shipyards continued their work. The alien attack had revealed areas for improvement in human technology. New weapons were being designed. Better shields were being tested. Faster ships were being built. The Valkyrie fleet had been completely destroyed, but their sacrifice had not been meaningless. They had taught humanity valuable lessons about interstellar warfare. In the command centers scattered throughout the solar system, military leaders filed their reports and began planning for the future. The victory over the Valkyrie was complete, but it was only the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Other species would hear about what happened here. Some would be curious. Some would be afraid. Some would be angry. All of them would eventually come to Earth. Colonel Wu Jin, the man who had first confirmed the alien detection, stood in his office on Earth, looking up at the stars. The night sky looked peaceful, but he knew better. Somewhere, out there, other civilizations were making plans. Some might come in peace, others would come in war. Sir, his aide asked, your orders for the night watch? Standard patrol, Wu Jin replied, and keep the deep space sensors active. The next ones might be smarter than the Valkyrie. As night fell over Earth, children went to sleep in their beds, safe and unaware of the battle that had been fought in their name. They dreamed innocent dreams while their guardians watched the skies for new threats. The blue planet continued its ancient dance around the yellow star, its cities bright with the lights of human civilization. Nothing had changed in the daily lives of Earth's people. They went to work, raised their families, and pursued their dreams, never knowing how close they had come to extinction. And perhaps that was as it should be. The children of Earth deserved to grow up in peace, protected by guardians they would never see. In the depths of space, automated systems began transmitting new signals toward distant stars. These were not surrender messages or peace offerings. They were warnings. The messages were simple and direct. This system is protected. Do not approach with hostile intent. You have been warned. Some species would heed the warning. Others would ignore it. But all of them would eventually learn the same lesson the Velkari had learned. Humanity was no longer the primitive species that could be conquered with superior numbers and advanced technology. They had become something far more dangerous. They had become prepared. And Earth, the small blue world that had seemed so vulnerable, remained untouched among the stars, guarded by children who had grown up to be the galaxy's most formidable defenders. The Velkari Armada that came for Earth had been annihilated before it got close. The next one would face an even deadlier reception,